We are delighted to be welcoming Daniel van Slochteren, Chief Innovation Officer at OpenLine, with Prithvi Bhat, Security Advisor at Avanade, Johan Bakker, CEO of the MSP Mentor, Tim de Vries, Co-founder 8 Security, and Mike Goedecker, CEO for Hakdefnet. What a pleasure to have you on. It's great to see you all again. Great to be back at the 5th annual edition. Daniel, how are you doing? I think you're on mute, Daniel, sorry. You need to unmute it, sorry.
So, good morning, Willem. I'm fine, thank you very much. And looking forward to it, guys. And lady, of course.
Perfect. Well, what are we going to talk about today, Daniel?
Well, nowadays there are so many vendors. And there are also a lot of system integrators, resellers, consulting companies. So, for me, it's hard to follow everything. So I was wondering, how can we manage the next generation solution? So how do we know what would be the best solution to the future? With all the vendors in place, with all the resellers, with all the needs of our clients, I have no idea. So I'm really happy that I have all the specialists this morning with me.
Very good, very good. Well, I'm going to leave them in your capable hands, but I'll be here as the champion in the background.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. Glad you're all here. And I hope you can help me in solving my problems. So, but I think I'm not the only one with problems, right? But let's start with the first question. And I will start with Mike. Mike, how do we know what our clients need to the future?
How do we know what our clients need for the future?
Yeah.
I think it starts off with understanding who your client is and what they do, right? So if I understand who my client is and what they do, what their business is, then I can start to map out what their risk profile is. When I know their risk profile in regards to security stuff solutions, then I can start to take a look at what is the research that we have of predictors on the market, where it's going to be going, and and where do we need to go from there? So that would be my quick answer.
So how do you define their risk factor? How do you know?
We have a unique way, shape, and form in the way we create risk profiles for all of our customers. So whether it's our social network shaman, which basically takes a look at their social network usage, we create the profiles on what type of hate groups and different types of things that are out there. And we suggest with our app and community things that they can use to combat fake information, propaganda, and also cyber bullies and trolls. In other solutions, if they are in a specific market where they have specific technology, then part of what goes into the risk profile takes a look at the environments that they're involved in and what types of risks do they have based on their technology and the type of business that they are. And then we take a look at skills and a whole bunch of other things, and that creates a profile.
Okay. Maybe I come back to this one later on. So let's move to the neighbor. Tim, how do we know what our clients need?
Following up on Mike, I think it all starts with risk indeed. What is the risk appetite of the organization, of the client? And I think it all starts also with people. Security culture, each security technology or security MSSP strategy for breakfast, I would say. So it's good first to have a good understanding also of the culture and following up on Mike on the risk appetite. Indeed, also agreeing with you, Daniel, to have a look at the current state to see if a customer has more an appetite for a best of breed versus a best of suite appetite or current state, and take it from there.
Okay. Guys, I'm not really convinced yet, but maybe the others can help me. Well, Johan, convince me. How do we know what our clients need?
I think first of all, in some way, we need to not only need to know what our client needs, but really need to talk to the clients on what they're doing, what their business is doing, and just clearly listen in and see where the needs are for more and better security and stuff like that. Also looking at what's already out there and what you're already implementing with other customers, and see why they are not doing that already, and just more and more get head on with the discussion of not only what they need, but what they just must have. So a lot of clients normally don't really understand what their need is, and they're talking to experts out there. And with the experts, we need to see what's happening in the business, in the community, and pick up trends early instead of ending up in the later adoption phase, looking there. So there's a lot of things going on today that people are implementing on solutions that are already out there for like 5 years. It's really nice that a lot of people are picking that up now, but it's not staying ahead of the game.
Okay, but Prithvi, what do I say it well, Prithvi, or do I
Prithvi.
say Prithvi?
Yes.
Prithvi. My apologies. So, what's your opinion about the feedback from the man?
I hope that you will be convinced after my answer, but let's see about that. I think I like what Johan is mentioning, but I will take it a little bit further. It is, to understand what our client need, we need to also talk to them, to understand what do they need actually, because we have a lot of experience. We are talking to different clients every day. So we have, after some point, we have a framework in our mind. Okay, this is what a client needs, but maybe that's not what they need, right? So it is also to understand what they're currently doing and what are the plans for the future, because with what they are doing, with assessing what they're doing currently, what is their current state, gaps, etc., we can provide a solution for them for that particular state. But we need to understand what their vision is, where do they want to grow? What is the business like? How is it going to scale up in the next coming years? How is the way of working changing among their employees? So to understand their future plans, then we can come up with a solution for them. So
No, I do agree that you say you need to walk hand in hand with your client to understand their business growth, their business future, the plan.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's on this part, I'm convinced.
Yeah. So my thing is, we are talking about being threat-led majorly, but we also have to be threat anticipator. So where is the threat coming from? For example, most of our MSSP or most of the organization was not ready to cater to the security threats that came with, say, working from home during the pandemic. So that is the threat anticipation that I'm talking about. So not to wait until it happens for us to ramp up our security solution, but think about it beforehand.
Yeah, okay. But then I also, because I like some of the stuff the other guys mentioned as well, and some of them were talking about risks. Right? We were talking about risk. We need to understand the risk of the client. So I've been talking with many board members of end users in the last 20 years. And the funny thing is, a lot of the end users and the board members do not even know what their potential company risks are. So how can we find a solution? How do we know what they need if the customer doesn't even know their own potential risks? So let's go back to Mike. Mike, if we don't know the risk, how do we know what to protect?
So if a company doesn't have risk management in place and they don't have their risk lists and they don't understand how to do that, then that's part of the journey that you have to take. And I think the best answer that I can give based on 25 years of experience is that the solution is always different from company to company. There's things that we're talking about, like we need to understand the risk, the market, and these types of things that we're involved in. But each company has a different approach to a market. Each company has a different product that they sell. They have different risks that they have to be aware of. So if they're not aware of that, then it starts off with building the awareness. And the way I like to do these things is when I do Zoom meetings, I don't do sales meetings. I never will, and I never did. What I do are strategic sessions, and I want to understand what the customer's perception is, what type of dream solution they're looking for, what pain points they have, or what they want to resolve. And then we start from there. Now, you said—
You're like a mirror. You're a little bit like a mirror to define their risk, to understand the business.
Well, am I a mirror? To an extent, yes. But people don't want me to tell them what they're doing wrong. They want me to help them find out what they really need. So I don't think it makes any sense to be a mirror in regards to look at all the stuff that you're doing wrong. That's not my job. My job is to find out what pain points they have. Can our solution help address those pain points? And how do we get there? And I typically do that when, for instance, in our app, Social Network Shaman, we have a 6-week challenge. Within 6 weeks—
Because now you're changing a little bit. Because
I'm not changing anything.
Okay, but I didn't say that you have to tell the customer what he's all doing wrong. I'm wondering, if you don't know the risk of the end user, how do you know what he needs?
So how do you? So let's reverse this question. How do you understand? How do you know what a risk is?
You mean the definition of risks?
How do you know what a risk is?
I'll just ask. What is the biggest risk?
No, it depends on your awareness. Let's start this differently. It depends on your awareness. Are you aware of what a risk is or what a risk isn't? Are you aware of the things that you're doing or the markets that you're in? So with the first discussion in creating a risk profile, we both crossed that bridge together, because like you said in your scenario, most of the people you're talking to don't understand what their risks are, or they've never done it before. So there's no use in me saying, okay, well, these are the risks that we address, if we have to start off with the foundation first. So what we typically do with customers is we have a 6-week challenge. In the 6-week challenge, we discuss with them what their awareness is, what things they want to achieve, why are we even having this discussion, and then we map out and create the foundation for them to even get to the point where they can identify where the risks are. Okay. Once we get to that point, yeah, go ahead.
Yes. No. I was wondering, because I can follow you, but I was wondering what Tim's, because Tim is listening as well. What do you think about this feedback of Mike?
Yeah, I think what Mike is trying to say, and what my time at Microsoft, working with clients like Shell and Heineken, I think the power of Microsoft was always to lead with vision. And that's what we also try to do at H Security. It's not only ask what the customer wants, but also in security, I think security is also not an end goal. The way, for example, Microsoft positions it, it's the foundation of digital transformation. It's transforming, it's enabling risk to create new business models based on data. I think that is that's also a different mindset. Instead of reducing risk, enabling risk. And security is just a piece of the puzzle. And if you talk indeed with board members, they're not, they want to take risk. You know, if they can spend more money on launching a new product or a new go-to-market somewhere, they would love to do that above spending more on an MSSP or an EDR solution whatsoever. So I think it's also a mindset of leading with vision, like the famous auto manufacturer Ford said. If I ask every customer what he wanted, I would still sell horses. You know, just
yes. Well, it can also be interesting.
Yeah.
Challenges we have, but Johan, is everybody on the same page? Johan, Prithvi, please help me. Walking hand in hand, explaining them.
I think everybody's on the same page, but what I think really helps is need to understand the business of your client to be able to pinpoint some of the risks for them if they don't know. So working in verticals is always something that looking at risk management is helping out there. If you have some clients who are grocery stores, you need to make sure what their primary process is. And it's not people in some headquarters. It's not one register in the shop, but mostly it's are the printers in the distribution centers. If nothing is coming out of the distribution center, the stores won't get stocked, stuff like that. So you need to understand where their primary high risk is, and then see what type of protection you need to make sure that that process would always work, and then filter out on whatever lower levels. And I think that really helps if you have some verticals where you just understand the business. If you go from supermarket A to brand B, whatever, 85 to 90% of their processes and stuff would be the same. So it would be really easy to help them understand where the biggest pain is and where the biggest risk is.
Okay, so that's about the risk. So then I go back to Prithvi. So we know we need to define the risks. We know we need to understand the business so we can walk hand in hand. What's the role of governance? Maybe they don't even have governance in the company, right? Because if they don't know the risk, how can they translate it from a process point of view to an information security policy? How do we do this? How do we manage?
It is also about probing here, right? It's just not understanding, because like you said, I really resonate with that. If the client doesn't know where his risk lies, what are you going to do about it, right? So it's more about probing. For example, one of our client, they came to us with the pain point saying they have issues with a storage solution. No risk, but just a pain point. Employees are not able to they're storing everything in one place, no structure, nothing. So migration towards, say, a SharePoint or team structure, OneDrive, etc., etc. So okay, then the question would be: is your data classified? Are they labeled? What is your data protection like? Do you have your identities sorted? Do you know how your users are accessing the data? So when you ask these questions, then they're like, okay, like you said, no governance. They don't know about the risk. There is no governance. Then it becomes, a bigger story and a bigger conversation, because then they start thinking about, oh, okay, I didn't see it this way, because their pain point was just one storage solution, maybe moving it to another, and that's about it. But when you have this conversation, it becomes clearer. And then the question is, okay, whether they are open for a solution at that moment, because then there is budget, and then, various discussion comes into picture. But that is for later stage. But initially, I think it's a bit of probing, making them see, the possibilities, or what they're not blind towards. So it's just not listening to them, also talking.
Okay. So Mike, do you agree with Prithvi?
To an extent, I agree. I think the question that you're asking is a much bigger challenge. So if you're approaching a company that doesn't have governance structures, that doesn't have risk awareness, et cetera, then you have to help them implement that, if that's indeed what they're looking for. I don't waste my time with a customer asking them if they have budget for something. If that's the case about money, then I've had the wrong discussion. I have strategic discussions and sessions with every customer, and I try to find out what their value is, what they're trying to find, what solution they need. And like I said, the solution is different for every customer. I'm not here to sell them some cookie cutter stuff or some fear. If they don't have that awareness and they're not interested, I'm not going to waste their time, and I'm not going to waste my time with them. But if they do want to have something, and there's a reason for this, if they've had a pain moment, and let's be quite honest, security and risk is not about doing the right thing for the right reason. The only reason that customers contact us is because they've had a breach, or something has happened, or something broke down. So the awareness of security of all companies, and I've seen this every day, is they only contact once they have, excuse my French, an oh shit moment. And that's pretty much everyone's approach to security and risk. So let's be honest. We're going to be honest. If we're going to be honest about shit. Yeah, if we're going to be honest, let's be honest. So I mean, once they have this moment and they have a need for something, and they don't trust most people because they're lying to them and selling something they don't need, then the only way that you can address this is by having a discussion, understanding what they do, understand their business, understand where they are in their processes and procedures, and then help them get to the point where they can identify what the actual risks are. It's a process. It takes time. It's not a solution you buy out of a box that is done in like 1 week. And that's why I'm saying things like a 6-week challenge, things like doing sessions and talking to the customer are very, very important. So that's all I can say then. Yeah.
You got me convinced in the first part, okay? So you've got me convinced. We need to understand the business, and we need to understand what the potential risks are. And if they do not understand, then we help them to face this and give them recommendations. So, okay, first part done. Now we go, okay, so we do understand the problem we are facing. How do we know what kind of security solution we need to offer as a service? Because that's another challenge, right, Johan?
Depends if it's a challenge. If you're helping your client building his IT strategy, then you know upfront already what they need and what services do they need. And in my point of view, anything can be offered in as a service. So it's just to build the proper blocks to give them whatever they need in as a service model. And if they don't want it in as a service, then just buy it off or do whatever you want with them. But if you're building with them their IT strategy, then security is already part of that. Then you know where they're going in the next 1, 3, or 5 years with their IT infrastructure. And you know what at least the IT need and the security need is what's out there today. And you can continue to look going over time, what's a better fit, whatever, in 3 months, 6 months, a year, because also security is not something we sell today and it will stay there for 5 years.
And we make it really easy. It sounds like, okay, everybody can do this. And of course, you're the mentor, so I do understand that. But it's not that easy, or is it? Is it so easy that, okay, well, because I think there is a lot, you need a lot in place, people, process, technologies to deliver a kind of service, right?
True.
Am I wrong?
But I'm assuming that we all have those in place if we're already helping those clients.
Oh, this is about the new service. That's the question is, okay, so if we know how do we define a new managed security service? Because that's the challenge. You have so many vendors, there are so many innovations, and now we would like to define the service. But before you answer, maybe Tim, because Tim is raising, he's like this the whole time. So
yeah,
Tim,
sorry.
Help him, help
everybody.
no,
it's per accident. Sorry. Yeah, there is not like a good consultant would say. It depends. It's not black and white, or it's not a one side a t-shirt with a one size fits all. Again, it all starts with, of course, the business model, the risk appetite. But I do think, looking at MSSPs, and I think to follow up on Johan's comment, like as a service, everything is as a service. But what I saw also at Microsoft is that also the term cloud, and I see it also with MSSPs as a service, that sometimes the word service is being misused. I think it's very important for customers also to really deep dive into the business model of the MSSP. Like, for example, hosting is not per se cloud. So I see also at my customers with other MSSPs, all business models like an hourly rate per incident, for example. And I think MSSPs, the whole business model, you see large scale-ups in the US with budgets that are unmatched in Europe, for example. I think that the whole MSSP concept, just like we had the hosting, will also go to a lot of big players in the US, that you have like an MSSP as a cloud offering kind of thing.
You're not helping Johan, Tim, because at this moment I'm more not satisfied yet, but maybe Prithvi can help me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Stupid questions that can also be.
Maybe my answer will trigger Mike, because I'm not as practical as him. I live in my own fairyland. But the answer to your question, how to set up a new managed service, it is, again, I will say, collaborating with your client, understanding what level of involvement are they looking at, because some clients want a black box, manage everything, just tell me when things go wrong, and okay, that can also be done. But somebody someone wants to, know, okay, what goes behind that black box? When do you alert us? How do you know, things are going on? So do you have enough situational awareness about us? So they are more involved. So actually understanding, what level of involvement that does the client want? That's part one. But then there is another side of the coin as well. Some MSSPs do not want to share their black box. They do not want to be transparent because, they are managing multiple clients or whatever. So yeah, it's getting that balance right, because in the end, the client is opting for a managed service. That means that they want to, shift some of their responsibility towards them, wants to be a little hands off, to just, but still the end responsibility lies with them, the data and stuff like that. So it's actually to find that right balance of involvement, and then strike out the process around that. And technology, of course, that's the first piece when you talk about a service. And people, again, is, yeah, you go because you do not have the right resource within your organization.
But let's make it easy, okay? Just that my brain also can follow all of you. So let's take an example. We are all MSSP, and take the endpoint. Everybody is delivering endpoint security, and let's call it the old school ransomware protection. Now, at one moment, somebody woke up in the morning and said, yeah, but we need threat hunting. The endpoint security, it's not enough anymore, because I've been looking to Gartner and I've been looking to all the vendors. It's raised up everywhere, the threat hunter companies. So we are going to deliver threat hunting services. So 1, how do we arrange a process for this? 2, how do we get the people up to speed? Because looking to the old school endpoint security versus threat hunting, it's a totally different league. And the third one is, what kind of technology do we choose? So, Mike, you still there? You didn't run away?
Here. Oh yeah, you can't get rid of me that easy, buddy.
Help me by this example.
So, wrong example, because I'm not going to sell you threat hunting. Why should I sell you threat hunting if you're an SMB?
Not about it's an example.
Yeah, so
example.
We talked about ransomware. Ransomware has different things. Is there one size fits all? No. So again, it goes back to everything that you asked before, and they were the right reasons to ask those questions. Understand the business, understand the technology, understand what they have, understand what their actual threats and risks are, help them get the awareness for that, and then map out the most important things that they can do with the limited amount of budget that they have. So if they have people on site that actually know how to use threat hunting, or if they have an MSP or MSSP that can help them with threat hunting, then they look for the things that they want to do. What does my dream solution look like? What are the things that I have to resolve? How much does it cost? And what are the offerings? Then I start going into that discussion to assess which one of those 3 or 4 people fits the best to my company, fits the best to my budget, and satisfies as many requirements as possible within that budget. Very simple. But I mean, it all goes back to understanding who the company is and the people and building that relationship. That's why I keep on going back to my fairy world again, because I don't sell people things they don't need. And I don't sell. I have strategic discussions with every customer. And once we establish both of us what their strategy is, then I can help them.
I can't help services. Do you deliver, for example, as your company threat hunting services?
So we do everything from threat hunting all the way up to complete solutions. And it's not always our stuff. It's what fits the customer the best.
Okay. Then I move to thank you for the answer. So Tim, do you deliver is there somebody here who delivers threat hunting services itself?
Yeah, we work with, we don't do it locally. We work with a US company who does it 24/7 around the clock together with Microsoft.
Okay. Johan, do you deliver threat hunting services?
Yeah, actually we deliver some, but to MSPs to become MSSPs. So we help the MSP or the MSSP to build their portfolio and see how they can add new services and stuff like that. And I think first step would be looking at your own organization. Do you have the right people to get a new offering? or do you need to get new people in or certified some people within your company? Then build the process. Then look at the tools and the vendors. And what I think would help for everybody is look up some peers and have those discussions also with your own peers to see if they're already offering, how that's going and working for them, and seeing what they're doing and what issues would it fix. Then build the process, and then when you build the process, also build your offering for your clients, and not offer it when you're not ready, but be ready and then offer it to your clients.
Okay. I just go back to Mike because he is raising his hand and he's shaking, and before he gets upset. So let's go back to Mike because he wants to, yes. And then I go to to the lady of the house, of course. So thank you.
Yeah, so
Mike.
At the end of the day, for threat hunting, the only thing I wanted to interject into this thing is, how do you know? How do you measure if what you're offering is what the customer needs and is successful? It always goes back to the same thing that I said before in my fairy world, asking them what they need, having that discussion with them. So that's it. I'll get back to the lady of the house.
Thank you, Mike. So Prithvi, come on. Do you deliver threat
Yes.
hunting services, for example?
Yes, threat hunting service, but it's usually part of the managed SOC services, so that it's not you, because that's the
It's an
optional
add-on.
add-on. Yeah, it's an add-on to manage SOC, because then because you're creating your use cases and you're delivering your 24/7 monitoring, and because threat hunting is not, or usually it's not a full-time service, because your FTE is not spending 8 hours every day threat hunting. So it's an add-on, and then again, like Mike said, I resonate with him. It's to discuss, okay, what is a good value of threat hunting for the client. Maybe it is creating 2 scenarios a week, or maybe to have that discussion by looking at the available data in the data lake and the level of risk that the organization is at, and then we can mature the threat hunting service going forward. But initially, it's just an add-on.
Okay, but just for my imagination. And so at the end, most of you deliver SOC services, and one of the solutions, not only security monitoring, is threat hunting, right? And the others here are giving recommendations how to build. But then I want to understand, because I was at a conference last month. I was at a really big security conference, and I thought, okay, well, let's take a check about what kind of vendors deliver solutions or products for the endpoint security. Well, I came home and I was overwhelmed. So, Tim, well, help me. How do you define the right vendor for the services you want to deliver? Because when we talk about a vendor for endpoint, I can invite you 25, 50, 100, maybe even more. Yeah. And don't say Microsoft. Don't say Microsoft directly.
I would focus on, it all depends. I think shifting. See this trend, of course, shift left. Having application developers build, have security by design as soon as possible in the whole DevOps process. If you build your applications on a cloud platform, of course, I think it's important to look at solutions that are built in, of course, security by design. That's also another principle I would look at. We as H Security, of course, we are a little bit biased because we're a Microsoft security specialist. We believe in the power of a platform. I worked with several SOCs who were having, for example, CrowdStrike for EDR. They were having Okta for identity and access management. And it took them 8 hours to make chocolate out of incidents that were coming in different kind of portals, and that is, I think, companies should look at a platform, because it decreases risk, because you're able to map faster what is happening in your environment. It can reduce cost, really hard benefits, net present value, based on on licensing, on hardware, on software, training, etc. And I think it's important. What is differentiating on long-term vendors is intelligence, your scale worldwide.
But this is interesting, by the way, because you say choose one platform, don't pick all the kind of different vendors for the services. So exactly. Let's see how the others think about it, because this could be firework. Velem, here we go. Mike, do you use one platform or multiple platforms or multiple toolings?
Multiple toolings for bigger customers and singular platforms for smaller companies. The reason being that the functionalities for SMBs is different than for large corporations. A large corporation has a bigger team. They can do more stuff on their own. An SMB is not interested in threat hunting, XYZ, whatever you call it, the donkey's butt and whatever. So,
okay, you say, let's say mid-size plus, multiple SMBs, one product fits all, one platform.
Basically, if possible, one size fits all, or try to get the basic minimum done.
Prithvi, what do you think? What do you think? Do you choose Camp Tim or do you choose Camp Mike if you talk about mid-size plus?
Yes, I would like to go with Mike on this one. I think.
Okay.
I think that's the case, right? Because now I work with Avanade and I have to align with what Tim says on Microsoft, because that's the story we sell. You know, going with one solution and all those kind of things, right? But when you let's take the example of endpoint security. Let's say at a client you have McAfee running, and then Microsoft comes in and says, no, you should go for the defenders, blah, blah, blah. Then they're in a fix, like, do I run both? Do I run Defender only? Do I run McAfee? Yeah, then...
But we have the Office. We have the suite of Microsoft. We have A5. So everything is included. So why do I still need McAfee?
No, if they are not on E5, that is right. If they are not on E5, then. So yeah, we have to make a decision there. And I agree with Mike that the smaller businesses, I think one technology is good for them.
Let's say 1,000 plus companies, 5,000 plus companies, right? 5,000 is mid-size plus. Just to have the same, we are on the same page. So companies above the 5,000 seats, not one platform fits all. Oh, one moment, because we still did. Somebody's really quiet at the moment. Johan, you have to choose, my friend.
Yeah, but
our mentor
himself. Fits all. That really doesn't isn't out there. So I would always say multi-platforms, because you also in this case you need to understand what the client needs and even sell them what is endpoint management, because I think if you ask 10 people in the chat, you will get 10 different answers on what.
I'm not asking. I'm only asking the 4 of you. I'm only not the 23 people who are listening at the moment. Or more. I have no idea. But go ahead. So what? So
no, I would say always
it's 3 versus 1. 3 versus 1.
I would say pick 2, maybe 3. Because I always think you need to be specialist on what you're supporting with your clients. Mm-hmm. So never choose 10. That makes no sense. But pick 2, maybe 3, and then see for what client.
So maximum 3 vendors for everything?
For one solution, yeah.
Yeah, one solution. Oh, I'm talking about...
but we were talking about endpoint management, right? So
yeah, no, but Tim made it bigger. Tim was talking about one platform for the security monitoring.
The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That is my point.
Tim said you have one solution. It's like the switch and knife, right? No, but Microsoft fits everything. No discussion anymore. Do it. So I'm on your page. No. Just want to understand. But Tim, I give you back because I was challenging you. And
yeah, of course. But I think what I see a lot of times also with customers, and this is again, and also, and Daniel, if you have a lot of experience with boards, you know, it's really tricky to step into the technology pitfall. I think I also presented the business case once to a customer for privileged access management to a CFO. And when we entered the room to present and negotiate, of course, we were seeing that the CFO had his passwords written down on a little yellow note. So yeah, why would we then invest millions in a privileged access management tool if the culture is not right yet, you know? So what is a tool worth then if this is the culture on top level?
So that's the governance. Now we go back to the governance.
Yeah, the governance. Yeah, yeah. It's also governance.
Part of the governance is
I would say the culture is not always governance. I would say, but that's aligning. I think your.
Oh, somebody is. Yeah, Mike. Culture is not always part of the governance.
Yeah. So Daniel, you made a good point. You said that you talk to boards. When I talk to boards and owners, especially SMBs, they're not interested in the solutions or the brand names. They're like, this is my problem. This is my budget. Address it. That's all they care about. They don't care about threat hunting. They don't care about fancy schmancy words. This is my problem. Solve it. Okay. So, yeah.
How can it be possible? Serious, guys, because we still have a lot of technology-driven cycles in the world. Everybody here talks about, no, we need to talk about the governance, the culture, the risk. We need to know the business growth. And in the meanwhile, most of the sales cycles are still, and I know, Mike, you're not running sales cycles, but most of the cycles are still technology driven in the industry. That doesn't make sense.
Sorry, I have to, mine aren't.
No, maybe you're not, but most of them, and you're not most, but most of them are. Or do you all of you think, no, Daniel, you're totally wrong. If we look to the cybersecurity industry, it's business driven.
You're not wrong. No, you're not wrong. That's the issue. You're not wrong. That's exactly the entire issue. Everybody sells like we used to in 1980, even though everything has completely changed. The types of attackers that we face, they're targeting our smartphones. They're targeting our social media. They're using open source intelligence to get to us. They're not sending us malware anymore like they used to in old classical ways. We're in a episode of cyber and hybrid warfare. The way attackers attack has completely changed. Yes. So if you're going to sell your products based on technology, you're not going to wind up selling anything. You have to understand the customer first. It's exactly why you ask these questions. And I wrote down, I wish customers would think like this, because then they would move past, is it this solution or that solution? What is my problem? Do I know what my problem is? If I don't, let me bring someone in to help me identify it first. Then after we go through that and we have a trusted relationship, am I even capable of making a decision on something with a budget? So, and most of the companies out there, they want to blind you with this fact and with that fact, even though you don't directly know what you're looking for. And that's when you get into this technical comparison. It's no use to me. I don't understand it. But.
Is it also the challenge because of the fact there are so many security vendors and they all have their sales reps and they don't talk about risk, but they have, because they can't talk about the risk because of the fact they only have, maybe not if you're from Microsoft, but most of the vendors, and they have a point solution. So if you talk about the risk, then you can't cover it always with your solution. Is this also one of the problems we are facing in our industry, Prithvi?
Yes, definitely. Technology was supposed to be enabler, but now it's a blocker. We are, every security organization has, the security data coming from so many different streams. It's very difficult to even manage or react to them. So now the challenge is not only, finding the right technology or choosing the best one, but also managing them. And now we are like, okay, we are getting one from SIM, we are getting from Defenders, we are getting from your AVs, so many things coming from everywhere. And yeah, then you're like, I'm not looking at any of this. It's good. I have the technology for it. So you're right, Daniel, that it's causing a big issue in our industry. And the next thing is for us to have a unified visibility or a single source of truth platform. And that would be one more technology added to the stack. So yes, it is a problem.
Okay, so now I have another problem, guys. So I can follow the way you think. If somebody doesn't agree, let me see, Johan or Tim, if you do not agree with Prithvi or Mike, please let me know. But
I just have something to add. I think you should also look at it more pragmatically instead of throwing more tools at customers. I think it's also about attack surface reduction. If you move more workloads to the cloud, if also concepts like zero trust, having the home network and also the corporate network being treated the same, I think that will help a lot in looking more pragmatic at cybersecurity.
So nowadays in my job, I'm the Chief Innovation Officer. That sounds cool, right? But I'm also in the university and I'm still learning. And last week I was in Valencia, that's the technical university where I'm working as well. And there was a forum, and that is a big exhibition with all kinds of innovations. And I was walking there and I saw a lot of new innovations and also related to take VR. Everybody talks about VR, but there are also companies getting more used to VR. Then we have everybody is talking in cybersecurity. Well, we everybody, AI. Well, let's face it. Most of all of you can't even explain the difference between AI, machine learning, and deep learning. But we talk in the industry, it's like if you have one eye, then you know more than enough, than most of them. So now I was wondering, what if a customer says, yeah, well, Mike or Johan, we are going to launch a big project and we are going to use virtual reality. Could you secure it? Thank you.
Johan, you want to try it or should I?
Oh, I'm pretty confident to do that.
You go for it first, and then I'll go after.
Yeah.
If you don't deliver that services yet, then you can do two things. You can see if you can edit, like we discussed before, see if you have the talent or need to hire. Or we can see if there's already another company out there specialized on those things, and just connect your customer with them, or say, you know, I found a partner who's really top of the bill on securing this. This is not our piece of business, and partner with somebody else out there.
So you would outsource it. If it's an innovation and you do not feel comfortable, you would not say, okay, I adopt the knowledge and then I find a solution for it. You say, whoa, third party.
I think
just to slam it because we are running
and you're not really familiar with VR, then probably this is not the point to pick it up. Or you need to be really open with your customer and say, look, we never done security for VR, and we're happy to pick it up, but this and this and this are the risks on our sides that would end up with some risk at your side. Are you happy with it? Because I don't think you need to say, oh, sure, we're going to pick this up, and then run into your organization and say, cool guys, we got some project. Anybody up to do some training this weekend? That makes no sense.
No.
That's actually how we did it in the 90s. I think that should stop.
Okay, so just raise your hand. Do you agree if with Johan, outsource if you do not have the knowledge at the moment? It's not your cup of tea. Tim, yes or no?
Yes, I see too many companies also with cybersecurity trying to, building their own nuclear reactor. Not focusing on their own key business, core business.
Prithvi? Yes or no?
Yes, but also start your trainings so that, the next opportunity there is, you can already, take it up rather than outsourcing. For example, now I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we have any good security service company which will do for virtual reality or the metaverse in future. So now it's the time to prepare ourselves for that, how security looks in a metaverse universe. So, and then maybe when the time comes, we are ready for it rather than then saying, okay, we don't do it.
Okay. Last one, Mike, do you agree with Johan? Or is there also a but?
There's a difference. So no, VR is not securable at the moment. And yes, once something becomes more mature and there is research, neutral research, academic research, then you need to assess whether you need to outsource or not. So it could be outsourcing, but it depends. You're at the university, just like I am as a doctoral researcher. I want to see the facts. VR is a fancy schmancy marketing word. I'm not interested in marketing words. I need qualitative and quantitative data. So once that comes in and the research is there, then I can suggest something to a customer. Right now, I can't. So my answer is VR securable? No.
Then it's quiet. Is VR securable? That's a really interesting one. Phelim, I just heard that we have another hour. Is this correct? We canceled some of the other presentations because we can move forward on these topics, right?
No, we got 4 minutes.
So we are going to end up with a quiet
We don't have to.
because nobody can tell me if there is a security solution or how should we protect VR. And VR is just an example of one of the innovations, of course. And we also have the blockchain. There are so many other things, and there is more coming up. But
let me answer your question. It's not my job to tell you what to do. It's my job to find out what is the right solution.
I will never this power to solve my problems.
Well, I need to understand your problem first, and then we can find solutions for it. But it's not my job to tell you what to do. It never was, and it never will be. So if that's the way people approach sales, then it's no wonder why they don't sell things. Sorry.
Really well. Well, at least thank you, all of you, for solving a couple of my challenges and my problems. So I think I can save a little bit more easy. Thank you for joining, and thank you for giving all the answers. And then, Willem, it's up to you again.
Well, thanks very much. And as usual, it's thanks for doing such a lively panel. I really enjoy this. Obviously, you push the boundaries and you try to really get the debate going. So really enjoyed that. And everyone on Discord and in the chat have really enjoyed it, at least according to their comments. Any fan mail, obviously, directed to Daniel afterwards. Tim says thanks. Johan says thanks. Let's give our fantastic panel, Tim, Johan, Prithvi, Mike, and Danielle as the moderator, a big virtual round of applause. And I look forward to seeing you in the audience. And thanks for Open Line for supporting this event as well.
You're welcome.